what do we get from Mother Nature? We get magnetism from the earth. We get oxygen from the air. We get light from the sun. I don't think that we emphasize the importance of these three things enough. I mean, earthing and grounding is actually a very real thing. People want to poo-poo it as some kind of Indian voodoo science. It's not. When you take your shoes off and you touch the surface of the earth, there is a low Gauss current that the earth has, and by making contact with it, you actually change the physiology in your body.
What does it matter what you step on? Like, do I need to step on grass or
sand.
Dirt?
Yeah, dirt,
but
grass,
not concrete.
Sand, not
if I
concrete.
step on concrete,
usually concrete will not be grounded.
Why is that?
Which is because it's insulated from the earth. Sometimes there's enough rebar in there that it's grounded. But I'm talking about dirt, grass, sand. So how do you mimic the low Gauss current of the earth? This is where PEMF mats come from, pulse electromagnetic field, right? So people buy these PEMF mats and put them in their beds. Grounding mattresses are very good for your bed because a lot of us, especially people that are living in condos, are not in contact with the surface of the earth. You can use grounding sheets. You can use a PEMF mat. But if you don't want to spend the money on that, take a few minutes and take your shoes off, touch the surface of the earth.
Is it just a few minutes is all you need?
Less than 6 minutes.
And what are the actual benefits that you will see from grounding?
So to be hyper specific, you will repolarize the surface of your cells. So for example, if I was, and I've done this hundreds of times, if you go on my Instagram, you'll see I've got videos of doing this. I'll take my production manager. He's always my guinea pig. Sorry, Max. And I'll prick his finger and I'll put a drop of blood on a slide and I'll actually show you under a microscope what his blood looks like in real time. And what you'll see is all the red blood cells, they start to get stuck together and clumped up. And why is that? Because if you take a red blood cell or a sphere and you actually have two of these side by side, if they have the same charge, they can't touch, like two north poles of a magnet. As soon as they get opposite charges, they attract. And once they attract, they stick together and they get clumped up. Well, as we get less and less in contact with the earth, we build up this charge in the body and our cells start to stick together and get clumped up. After you lay on a PEMF mat for 20 minutes, or you go out and do some grounding, you prick your blood, your finger again, look at the same blood, you'll see all of these red blood cells are separated and they look like eggs slithering around in a bowl full of oil. They're just passing by each other. You've opened up all of that surface area. I mean, these little things for your cellular biology, that will cost you nothing.
What about going in the ocean? I feel like
Amazing
every
for you.
single time I go into the ocean, I feel that is the quickest that I will ever feel better. And a lot of the times, if I'm sick and I go into the ocean, I notice that my sickness gets dramatically better a lot faster, especially if I go surfing or I spend a good amount of time just like in the waves and in the water.
Well, because you're doing three things. Number one, you're grounding. Probably don't know it. You're getting a high amount of ions, which I'll explain in a second, and you're also getting sunlight. We've been taught to fear the sun. I mean, but if you actually looked at a chart of the parabolic rise of skin cancer, it would be superimposable with the parabolic use of sunscreen. So why have 23 brands of sunscreen been pulled from the market since 2018 for directly being linked to skin cancer? Why did we not have the same rates of skin cancer in the 50s as we do today when we're parabolically using more sunscreen today and getting less sunlight?
It's the ozone layer, right? That the ozone layer is eaten away.
Also that we're better
UV
at diagnosing
rays.
it now, whereas back in the day, it wouldn't have been so abundantly clear.
Well, I don't believe that to be true. I think that what's happened is we eat such a pro-inflammatory diet now. We eat 67% of the majority of our diets is highly processed foods. These are not even foods. We don't eat whole foods. We don't get the right kind of sun exposure. We get no sun, no sun, no sun. Then we go out on a vacation and we just hyperdose ourselves and we get fried. What I'm talking about is, there's a special part of the first part of the day called first light. And this is about the first 60 minutes of the day. There's no UVA and there's no UVB rays during this time of the day. There are healthy rays that will create vitamin D3. You let that light touch your skin. It does all kinds of benefits, which I can go into the science behind that, microvascular circulation, reduction of inflammation. Very good for you to get small doses of sunlight every single day. In fact, it's probably the greatest mood enhancer you could ever do. If you really want to reset your circadian rhythm, wake up in the morning with the rise of the sun and just go out and get natural light into your eyes.
Can you overdose on like vitamin D3 or magnesium?
Very
take too
difficult
much.
to overdose on vitamin D3 or magnesium. So the reference range for vitamin D3 is 30 nanograms per deciliter to about 100 nanograms per deciliter. If you were to go out in the sun for 35 or 40 minutes in board shorts, or a woman with a bikini on, lots of skin exposed, you'd manufacture about 25,000 IUs of vitamin D3. So with these different vitamins, especially water-soluble ones, we're meant to actually be able to eliminate higher doses of it because, you're not really controlling the exact same dose you're taking every day if you were getting it from food. So your body can eliminate the excess. It is very difficult to overdose on vitamin D3 if you really, really oversupplement it. If you're taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 every day with 80 micrograms of K2, there's virtually zero chance you'll overdose. And there's extraordinary evidence that staying in the 60 to 80 nanogram range for vitamin D3, which is the higher end of the range, has all kinds of benefits. It's tied to reduced risk of breast cancer for women. It's tied to better autoimmune response across the board in men and women. I think that's one of the foundational supplements. And, B12, yes, it's in a lot of our different supplements, workout powders in our vitamins. You'll see that sometimes on a blood test, the B12 gets really, really high, but it's a water-soluble vitamin and we eliminate it very easily.
That's something I'm curious about. Energy drinks and pre-workouts, are those really bad for you? Because I've seen some that have like vitamin B12 and you see it has like 12,000% of your daily needs, plus like guarana and like taurine and a whole bunch of caffeine.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of those. I mean, those are filling a gap that, you should ask yourself, these are the kinds of questions we should ask ourselves. Why is it that I'm needing an energy drink in the middle of the day? What does my sleep look like? Did I exercise this morning? Am I eating whole foods? Am I eating just a inflammatory diet? And I'm not one of those people that, because the research doesn't say to do this, that preaches a really dogmatic diet. I preach that people should be eating whole foods. The majority of the foods that we're eating are actually and forget the really harsh stuff like the forever chemicals, like, glyphosates, herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, polyfluoroalkyls, food dyes, all of these things that are just straight forever chemicals. And look at in the basic, in the American diet, for example, we have, we're the only country in the world that sprays our entire grain supply with something called folic acid. We've been led to believe that folic acid is a natural vitamin. That's, but most people have heard of folic acid. They think it's vitamin B9. It's not. Folic acid is a man-made chemical that we make in a laboratory. You cannot find it anywhere on the surface of the earth. It does not exist naturally in Mother Nature. And so why is it so prevalent in our diet? Well, because in 1993, the chemical industry convinced the federal government that we needed to spray our entire grain supply with folic acid, all flour, all bread, all pasta, all cereal, grains of any kind. Although we don't call it sprayed with folic acid, we call it fortified or enriched. So fortified or enriched foods are foods that are sprayed with folic acid. So what happens when you take high doses of, it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? All this folic acid, until you realize it's the most prevalent nutrient in the human diet and it's completely synthetic. So I'm not saying don't eat grains or rice or pasta or cereals or bread or things made with light flour. I'm saying eat the non-fortified, non-enriched versions of those.